All right, I'll call this meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. I'm going to ask the Honorable Sam Phillips if he'll open us with prayer, and then we'll have the pledge to the flag.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we come to you today to ask for your blessing on this body as we conduct the business of the county. Ask for wisdom and discernment to do what is right for our people of this county and what is right in your sight. Ask that you bless this group, our state and national leaders, with your wisdom. Ask that you forgive us of our sins. Ask that you look after the first responders and those who wear the uniform. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we do have one special guest with us today that I'm going to have come up front, Mr. Tom Scott. I told him when I met him down in the hallway that his brother Jamie had done filled me in on him, and he said I might as well pack my bags and go back home. So I don't know what that meant. But Tom is the new director of our Franklin Simpson Ambulance Service, and Dale McCreary has. How long have you served, Dale?
Good to see you, man.
10 years. He's done a great job with it. But you got what, 3.5 weeks, and you're selling into the retirement sunset.
Different line of work.
Different line of work. All right. But Tom, we're glad to have you. You're welcome to go to the microphone if there's anything you'd like to say, but you don't have to say anything.
No worries. I'll just say hello to anybody that doesn't know me. I probably speak loud enough to make it across the room. I think most do. Tom Scott, originally from Franklin, graduated in '99. Bill Scott's my father, was fiscal court member for several years, and I actually started here at Franklin EMS when I was 19 years old. Worked there about a year, and then moved on to several other ground service and several other air medical services, and have done that for the last 20 some odd years. Most recently with PHI Air Medical and Vanderbilt Land. So looking forward to following Dale's footsteps. Hopefully fill his shoes or give it a good try. So got some good leadership to follow. Contact information, I think, went out in an email last night. So if you need me, feel free to contact me via email or phone or radio.
I just hope you don't have to come and see me professionally.
Well, I hope not either. if we do, I got the good drugs.
All right, well, good. Very good. Tom, we're glad to have you. We wish you the best.
Thanks so much.
All right. Moving on, gentlemen, the minutes from our April 4th regular fiscal court meeting. We need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty.
Second.
Second by Jeffrey. Any question, discussion, or corrections? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain. Need to abstain from that.
Okay. So we have, that motion carries. Then next, we need a motion and a second to acknowledge that we have received the Extension District budget, but I don't see Jason Phillips here.
I move to approve, or move to accept.
But we do, yeah, we do have it on the portal.
Yeah.
I mean, they give it to us. So we got a motion by Marty to acknowledge that we have received the Extension Office budget.
Second.
Second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have Mr. Tim Slosser, School Superintendent, and Tim Crocker, Local Attorney. Here, gentlemen, some time back we talked about an interlocal agreement with the city, county, and the school board. You're welcome to come up, Tim. About having an interlocal agreement and the funding for the school resource officer program. Of course, we've plugged that money. Well, we've paid that money in this fiscal year. We've got it plugged into the budget that we'll be reviewing here shortly. And Tim, as I showed you Friday, I sent an email to Sam and Rich Ornstein, which is their estimation that we can actually take the money and move it to the school without having to have the interlocal agreement, but,
I'll address that if I may.
okay, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate your attention to that and your inquiry on that matter. As you all know, our office represents the district, the school district, and we've done it for many years. During that time, we have seen our school evolve in many positive ways, but one very negative way that has happened is that historically, law enforcement has always been a function of the county and the city. They provided the police officers to protect our elderly as well as our kids. And a good thing was that didn't have to happen much while they were at school because they were under supervision and it was protected. Things have changed. We now see the rise of shootings, in particular in our schools in this country, and we have recently had a couple of ones that are getting close to us. Tim comes from Western Kentucky, and he's got the experience of being around some school shootings and being close to them. We learned in this most recent school shooting that the shooter actually had 2 potential targets and chose the softer target. And Tim is committed, and our district is committed, and board there is committed to not being the softer target and wants to do the things that we have to do to make our kids safe so they can learn in our schools. And so several months ago now, we crafted this interlocal agreement. The advantage of the agreement is now, certainly the city and the county, either one, can get out of that agreement at any time with notice. But the advantage of having the agreement, Judge, I think, is so that as Tim is preparing his budget, he knows that at least for this next year, that both the county and the city are on board to fund this project for the upcoming year. And they can make a new decision the next year if things improve or with school shootings, or if for whatever reason it just wouldn't be feasible to do it.
Well, that first would be some great outcome, but I don't hold out much hope.
Don't think it's soon anyway. So, but what we did is prepared that agreement. Hopefully everybody's got a copy of that. And if they don't, I'll have some extras here this morning. So following those initial discussions and the crafting of the agreement, we took it to the city. And the city has committed to making that $100,000 contribution contemplated in the agreement. The county has made that $100,000 contribution, but we haven't yet presented that for your consideration to do it in future years. But for this year, the county has already made that contribution, for which the school is very grateful, and it has been put already to good use. And Tim's going to tell you in a minute about some of the other things he's done, but I just wanted to bring you up to speed on where we are. If there are questions about the agreement itself, I think I can answer them. But I would like for Tim to take on the issue of the school safety and why he feels that this is an important step for our community to be taking. Thank you.
First, I want to say thanks for allowing us to be here. I want to thank the fiscal court for their already $100,000 contribution this year. I want to thank Sheriff Hobson, who's sitting over here. This was not an easy, to find 5 officers for each school location was not an easy task, and he did that. So I want to publicly thank everybody in the room that's had a hand in that. But as far as school safety goes, 30 years ago I got in this business to help educate kids, and it's just evolved into different things. I go back to our mission at our school district, which is to empower students to be life ready and to educate students in Simpson County. And unfortunately, school safety has become a priority for all that we do. And, it's, we're constantly looking for ways to make sure that our kids are safe. I don't know how much you've kept up with what went on in Nashville 2 weeks ago. That perpetrator had a map of 2 schools and chose the one that didn't have an SRO. And I tell people all the time, because we have SROs, it doesn't mean that we are 100%, from anything happening. But the harder you make the target, the less likely things will be. And I never thought in my wildest dreams that we would be talking about how hard we make our schools so that the kids are safe. And that's, unfortunately, it's the world we live in. We are constantly looking for ways to upgrade the safety of our school buildings. We are looking into some products now that are made by 3M, excuse me, that are, there's no such thing as bulletproof windows and bulletproof glass. All that. There's products that are bullet resistant, that hold the fragments together if someone tries to shoot a window out to get in a building that is locked. I'm not sure how much like I said, I'm not sure how much you kept up with what went on in Tennessee, but on Friday, their legislature passed a law that all exterior doors have to be locked and all interior doors have to be locked during instruction. Guys, we've had that law in Kentucky for over 5 years now. We lock all exterior doors. We lock all interior. Anytime you have students in the classroom, those doors have to be locked. That is state law in Kentucky. There's never been a student shot behind a locked door. I mean, that's, so we continue to just do everything that we possibly can in order to, to keep our kids as safe as possible. And, the SROs so far, this year has been the first year we've had them in all 5 of our schools. It's been a very positive experience. I've had several parents and community members, talk to me about, they just feel more safe with their presence. I don't think it's, I went to Washington, D.C. last week or on spring break, and every building I went into, I got scanned. They had, police officers, security guards there. You go to the state capitol, you can't get in to meet with the legislature without going through some type of detection system. I'm not saying that's where we're headed, but it is, it makes you question, if it's safe for them, why wouldn't it not be safe for our kids and keeping them safe and doing everything that we possibly can. So we've had a lot of positives from the SROs, and, it's just something that's, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I wish it would. We said earlier it'd be a great thing that we go back to. We didn't have to do those things. And as far as the contribution, we're not asking any one organization to take all this. The SRO budget for this year is a little over $400,000. And as a district, we are kind of taking on the unknown, so to speak. We have 3 retired SROs and 2 full-time, and the retired SROs don't cost as much as the full-time one. So from year to year, we don't really know what that actual budget may be, but we're willing as a district to take that responsibility on. We just need some help to be able to sustain this for our community and our kids, and as we move forward, with this, just the way of life. It's just it is what it is, and what we have to do. I feel like in order to keep our kids safe, and we're constantly looking for ways to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can so that we are not a target for someone to do, something terrible within our schools. So, any questions?
Yeah, well, I want to say something before we open it up to questions. Yes, I think I've said this. You and I have had this conversation, Tim, and I've said this from the time that I became a city commissioner to this point today. Is public safety is our number one priority as local government. Public safety is our number one priority. And if we truly believe that kids are the most important asset that we have and our future, we've got to do everything we can to make sure they stay safe. There's no ifs, ands, buts, and there's no questions about that. I don't think that there's a person, or at least I hope there's not a person sitting behind this desk that doesn't take the safety of our kids very seriously and feel it's very important. I think all of these gentlemen would feel that way. I hope they do. As you've stated, you know, we've made the $100,000 contribution in this fiscal year. Obviously, we're just today, toward the end of this meeting, we will have our first budget session for the next fiscal year. I currently have that $100,000 plugged into this budget for us to discuss. So I do understand, though, why the agreement is kind of important. It lets you know. Also understand too that agreement expressly reads that anyone that's a party to it can opt out, has 60 days to opt out. So I put that into a time frame context. Here we are at April 18th having our first real budget discussion. If we sit down through this budget discussion on April 18th and find there's just no money, we have May, June, we have the 60 days that we need to say, hey, I'm sorry, but we can't do it this next fiscal year. You know, I've got it plugged in. I think we've got to take care of our kids. So I'll if y'all have questions about the interlocal agreement or what's going on, I think this would be a great time to ask that. The budget part of it we'll take up in the budget session later on in this meeting, but the questions about the agreement.
I guess my question, if it were to come up to the point that we just didn't have money, would you cancel the program?
Would we cancel the program?
I mean, if the county said, we've exhausted every avenue we can exhaust, we can't raise taxes high enough to, and we couldn't pass a 4% tax increase and raise an extra $100,000. But if it got to the point where it was that, and we come to you and said, look, I'm sorry, we just can't do it. And I mean, and I'm not saying we're going to do that. I'm just asking, would you cancel the program?
I would hate to think that we would ever cancel the program.
Okay, that answers the question. I mean, so we would find money somewhere.
We would try
if
to
it came
find
up.
the money somewhere. I mean,
Here's a big question, and I think I know the answer to this, but we have two attorneys, a superintendent, and a sheriff in here that I'm hoping between the four we can answer. But is this not something that is created by legislative mandate by the state?
yes.
Okay. So here's the other question, and I think I know the answer to this. The chances that the state's going to drop a pot of money on us and say, okay, we've legislated this, now here's the money to enact it, probably not going to happen. But if the state were to ever say, okay, we've mandated this, so we're going to give X dollars per student in every school district, would we take that money to equally offset the cost of all parties? I mean, would that be reasonable? And
Oh, for sure.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
expect that to ever happen, because
for sure.
the state's really good at passing laws and saying, okay, local government, we need you to do this, and there's not a dollar bill tied to it.
The
Yeah.
unfunded mandate.
Unfunded mandates, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, we have several of those in education.
yeah.
But
yeah.
you was talking about Tennessee. Did Tennessee not, their state not provide funding for?
I didn't read that much. I just was reading some of this.
I had heard that they
I think
passed
they're
it.
integrating that into this next fiscal year budget. I think that's what I heard, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what the governor said, yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Kentucky did not put any money in their budget
Well, I'm
for
sure
it
of
this
that.
next year.
No. I mean, there's talk every year of them doing that, but we haven't. You know, there's federal, there's state, you know, it hadn't happened yet. I just know we got to protect, we got to, you know, I kind of we can control the 21,000 people that we have in this county. Let's try to make sure that we take care of.
Exactly.
And however we have to do that is what we're prepared and willing to do.
I don't have any questions concerning the interlocal agreement.
No, I don't have any questions. I do agree with what the judge said. I mean, we're all behind, making our kids safe. I mean, there's no question about that. But I do think that we will probably wait till after we do go over this budget today to give an answer, I think.
If we have the interlocal agreement signed before July 1, I guess my question is, and I understand, because there's been question and concern here about entering into the agreement, which is why we haven't signed it. And my understanding is the city, it's kind of a funny thing. And I say funny, it's not like funny ha-ha, funny odd more than anything, is we have this agreement sitting out there that I guess the city's ready to sign, but the county hasn't signed it. But the county has paid the $100,000 and the city hasn't paid the $100,000. And the city, I guess, is saying, okay, we'll give the $100,000, but we want to have a signed agreement.
They're statutorily required to have that, and perhaps the county is not, based on what the correspondence that you received, Judge.
Yeah.
But certainly the city is statutorily required to do that.
But if we get through, of course, today, we'll have at least 2 budget sessions. We'll have at least this one today and then one to follow and clean up. But we will know after today primarily where everything's going to fall, so to speak. If we do that interlocal agreement after we go through this budget and we say, okay, yes, let's just do it. If we have it signed before the end of this fiscal year, would the city go ahead and remit their money for this current one?
I think that they will. What we would like to do, if you could, is, I don't know when your next meeting is, but if you're going to consider this in your budget meeting today,
Right.
if you could put us on for your next meeting.
Yeah, we'll be May the 2nd.
The what?
May the 2nd. Yeah.
If you just put us back on, we'll be here then, hopefully.
I don't mind giving money to the school system for SROs for the safety of our kids, but I've read the agreement, and what really concerns me is this automatic renewal. I'd rather you come up here and ask every year, and because when you do an automatic renewal, that means you're asking $100,000 every single year without asking. You're expecting us to give it to you unless unless we terminate it.
Yeah, and we have
So
60
that's what,
days.
we got 6 days terminated. But them automatic renewal, I just don't like automatic renewals on a set amount of money like that every year. That's the only thing that bothers me about that. I don't mind giving the money, but it's just the automatic renewal is what's got me bothered.
I appreciate the concerns, and if that's the will of the court, then that can be removed from the agreement. However, the advantage and the reason that agreements are crafted in that way is to allow for Tim to plan, and it just does assist him in the planning process to have that built in, and then there is the opt-out, of course.
Mm-hmm. Was there?
The court could opt out.
Was there a time frame on the renewal? And the reason I ask that, I'm going to ask the counselor here another question. We signed several agreements that have automatic renewals for a period of time before we have to either rebid or reassess that agreement.
Well, yeah, lots of them, it's like this, she'll automatically renew for, sometimes it's multi-year terms, it's like it's good for 5 years, and then automatic renews, and then for one time only, or we got one just recently we did was 20 years, and renew for another 20 years after that one time.
Most all of those have either a 30, 60, or 90-day opt-out clause.
That's correct.
But does it have a money amount with that?
A lot of them have increasing monies, like the one with the
Depends on-
sanitation has a CPI increase automatically factored in.
The short answer to your question is it depends on which agreement you're talking about. And I'm not trying to be smart, I'm just saying that the answer is yes, but not all of them. It depends on which agreement you're talking about.
I'm kind of going to agree, I'm going to agree with Jeff on the automatic renewal, and because I'm looking at it from both sides. If the cost, if we've got it set at 100,000 and say the cost goes up, I mean, a lot of times things go up.
It's gonna go up.
Well, do we have to back out of the agreement to change the price or to change the amount?
Well,
Or say,
the
I mean,
agreement would have to be, okay, so let's just say that we said today, we're gonna sign the agreement. And then I got two attorneys here that can correct me if my legal analysis is wrong. Let's say today we decide to sign the agreement, and 2 years down the road, the school says, you know what, this really needs to be 140,000 each from the city and the county. I think the school would have to provide something 60 days prior saying we need to redo this agreement, and this is what the dollar amount would need to be. And then we would have to reassess at that point, could we afford the $140,000 or whatever that number could be?
that was the other side. Saying we do this and in 5 years things, and I think our economy is doing fine in this county. I mean, I know it's suffered in other places, but I think we're doing real good in this county. But say something, we have 2 or 3 major industries that close down and we don't get the occupational tax or something, and we say, well, all we can do is 75,000. Do we have to back out of it then? And, so if by doing the automatic, but if we did it on a yearly basis, then we wouldn't have to be, it might make it simpler on something that could change like this.
The way the agreement is drafted, it would be that you could go to the school 60 days before and say, we have to opt out of the 100 because of this catastrophe with our economy, but we still think we can do $70,000 or whatever it might be, and then we would just at that point craft an amendment to the agreement.
But if the school goes up or whatever changes from this agreement, then do they give us notice beforehand?
Yes, they'd have to give you notice.
Okay.
Yes, they would.
So, we're going to need the same amount of time. I mean, you have to work y'all's budget out, but we have to work ours out as well. So, I mean, it's a kind of a double-edged sword right there. You guys need the time, we need the time as well. So, I think that I would agree with Scott and the judge that we're going to have to see where we land in our budget this year before we can definitely give an answer, because we got a lot of things tugging in our budget right now. Tim, same thing with similar issues as what you guys have. So,
Well, is it 60 days from August 1st?
that's the way that reads in it. Tim.
Is that enough time?
Well, I mean, if you're putting it on a budget calendar, your fiscal year budget calendar, it should be, because I mean, here we are mid-April, we're going to have our first discussion, and we're going to primarily know after today.
Right.
I mean, because today's budget session is going to be like, here's kind of where we're at. What do you guys feel like we need to do or take away or whatever, and then we'll make some adjustments to it. We'll have those adjustments made by mid-May.
Right,
So-
but June 1st would be the 60 days, would it not?
Close to it.
And when do we have to have the first budget sent to DLG?
15th, is that right? Of June?
By the end of
We
May.
have it by July 1st, but we always try to get it.
Well, they require it to be there a couple weeks early, or
I
sometime.
think we can have, if we have first reading, either our last meeting in May or first meeting in June, then we can have the second reading at our last meeting in June, and
We always try to have that first reading in May.
Yeah.
second reading in
I'm
June.
just wondering
Yeah.
if 60 days is enough notice. If we need to move that up to 90 days, and that gives you from May 1 instead of June 1. So should something change? And for budgeting, you're on a fiscal year budget just like the county is, aren't you? July 1 to June 30?
I think you need, if 90 days, you may not know 1st of May whether you need to, you may not be far enough
Yeah, you
along
need to
in your
go to
budget.
30 days instead of 90.
I think you any other way.
Well, I was thinking if you had more, if you did it in 1st of May, I mean, here we are in April, looking at our budget right now. If you see something now and you know by the 1st of May, you could give notice then and, hey, things are not looking good. That's if, I was thinking more time is what I was thinking instead of less. I don't know what,
I guess the question is, would the school have heartburn if it were a 90-day opt-out clause instead of 60? However that time frame would work.
90 or 75 or 60, any of those would work. Actually, the longer the notice, the better off for us.
True.
We set it at 60 in hopes that everybody would have a chance to get their budget in where they have an understanding ahead of time.
well, I mean, like I say, we're starting to work on it now, so May 1, I mean, if we seen it, it would be better, I think, for either party to give notice 1st of May instead of 1st of June. It would give you an extra, it
I'm
would,
in 100% agreement.
okay.
But my feeling is on this is, if we just done away with automatic renewal, we wouldn't have to worry about termination date or nothing. They would just come up here and ask us, would you give $100,000 this year? And yes or no, we could budget it out, find out what the budget is, and then after that year, we could do it, and we wouldn't have to worry about an automatic renewal.
That's
the way I
the
mean.
will of the court. I'm not pinned up about the agreement. We got to out clause. I mean,
If we did anything, what do you think about just doing that through our term? I mean, like, we say, okay, we'll do this through our term. We won't be putting another court, we may not be back up here another term.
Well, that next court could opt out of it just
They,
like.
well, I
Yeah,
guess they could. I
they-
mean,
they'd have
just
the-
ever,
they'd have
I'm
the
not real
opt-out.
tore up about that. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm just,
I think it would be better to put 90 days in there instead of 60. It gives everybody, the more time you have for, you don't want to do last minute stuff. So, I mean, it would give you by the 1st of May to look at it.
okay. And I don't think anyone's opposed to helping this program be successful.
Because
I sure hope
you
not.
got August, July, opt-out.
I would make
Instead
that
of
edit
August to
and
May.
have that as an option.
You see what I mean?
Okay.
So-
Well, and try to get that
Well,
back
I
up
mean,
here to you all quickly. And we really appreciate you all taking your time to consider what we believe, and I think you all believe too, is an important issue
But
in our state. and our-
we're all being put in a pretty tough spot up here. Because if we don't think we don't have the budget, or we don't, everybody agrees school safety is important, but if for some reason or another we don't want to vote for it, then we're considered that we don't care about the safety of the kids. And then if we do vote for it, we'll have people say, well, the school gets a lot of tax dollars and you are just giving them more. So I've heard that from both sides. So like I say, we're being put in a pretty tough spot up here, but I understand that we need the safety for the kids.
Any other questions?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Thank you,
Mr.
Jesse.
Crocker, thank
Thank
you.
y'all so
Mr.
much.
Schlosser,
Thank
thank
you.
you. All right, gentlemen, if you had the opportunity to review the resolution for the county clerk election equipment grant, it is a dollar amount of $113,885.64 for the purchase of election equipment. We would need a motion and a second to enter into this, or to adopt this resolution and authorize the county judge to sign it. Mr. County Clerk, is there anything you need to say about it?
If you got any questions, give you all a little bit of rundown. I don't know if it's in the portal or not on what we're purchasing, but we're purchasing a lot of scanners, as well as Verity printers, which are print on demand, so print your ballot on demand. It's back in February, I came up here with House Bill 1 for the no ink poll pads. It's the same House bill, it's just a second round of disbursements, and so we were awarded $113,885 to purchase new equipment. So we're going to order this, and we'll hopefully be able to, or we will, if we order it now, we'll be able to put it in to the May primary. We won't get it for November's general election, but we'll be able to use it in May for the presidential primary. So that's the hope. So expand our voting a little bit, give us some more options when it comes to voting.
But we kind of have two choices. We either do this resolution and get the money, or we don't do it, and then we have to pay for it.
Yeah, because we're gonna,
So moved.
Make a motion, we
pretty
take
much,
it.
pretty much.
I'd make the motion, we take a
Yeah, I
grant.
heard Myron say so moved, and then I think Scott was trying to move.
That's
and
right,
second
that's
or
right,
something
yeah,
at the
we
same
got it.
time. So we had a motion by Myron to adopt the resolution, authorize the county judge to sign it. Scott made the second. Any other question, discussion?
I'd just like to say that I hope some of these other states like Arizona and others can start using this equipment because it's, I mean, even when they had the election in Florida with the hanging chads, we knew that night what the results of the election would be. And we keep supposedly getting better equipment.
Yeah.
And here, the last 2 or 3 elections, it's been, 3-4 weeks before you even know the outcome.
I will say this, and I couldn't help but laugh when you said that, because I mean, it's really not laughable, but it is kind of. If you remember, you brought it up, the hanging chad. Florida immediately corrected that, and they run their elections in a great manner right now.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the state of Kentucky could be a model for the rest of the country on how an election process
Absolutely.
should run.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I said that to
yeah.
brag on you some.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm proud of how we do the elections here
Yep.
in Kentucky, but I just wish the other states would follow along because there's no reason to have to wait 2 3 weeks to find out the outcome of an election.
Yeah.
All right, any other question, discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And then another resolution, if you reviewed this, is the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security grant for law enforcement protection equipment. We would need a motion to adopt that resolution and authorize the county judge to sign it, and then the sheriff will have to fill this out as to what he's actually requesting. And it'll primarily, Sheriff, be for body armor.
There's an array of things on there that's general purpose, body armor, tasers, taser pouches, ammunition. The only thing we've ever been approved for generally was the body armor.
And we're not guaranteed to get anything, but we're guaranteed to get nothing if we don't do the resolution and sign it and send it in.
So move.
So we have a motion by Marty.
Second.
Second by Jeffrey. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we need to authorize the setting and advertising of our county road aid and local government economic assistance funds, the public hearing, and because of advertisement constraints and so forth, we would need a motion and a second to authorize those 2 public hearings to be at 8:30 a.m. on May 16th. That'll be at our second meeting in May.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron.
Second.
Second by Jeffrey, and this is, Jeffrey, when we get this money for the county road aid, which is like $890,000, and the LGEA is a little over $200,000, we have to have a public hearing to explain where that money's going and listen to the public if they think there's something else that should be done with that money rather than what we're proposing. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And I'm assuming, Counselor, the asphalt and rock bids would need to be separate motions?
That is correct.
All right. So we need to authorize for the advertising of our fiscal year 23-24 asphalt bids, and we will make a request in that authorization that those bids be in by Friday, May 26th.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Myron. Any question or discussion? Does all that sound correct to you, Bobby? Thank you. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Then, same thing for the rock bids, authorize the advertising for the fiscal year 23-24 crushed stone bids, and those bids to be received by May the 26th. Need a motion and a second to authorize the advertisement for bidding the crushed stone.
So moved.
I heard Jeffrey first and Marty second.
That's fine.
Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. The next item, I think Marty had an equipment meeting this morning, and he's gonna fill us in a little bit, but I think we may need to table this motion or this item, as there's gonna be some movement among some of these vehicles most likely, and possibly some more vehicles like from the fire department and so forth added. Is that correct, Marty?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make a motion to table this to the next meeting.
We've got a motion to table the advertising the sale of the vehicles. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Scott. All in favor, aye.
Wait a minute, I was
Oh,
gonna make the motion, then discuss it.
Okay, yeah, I forgot. Questions, discussion.
The reason I'm tabled that, I think the jail is actually gonna buy the pickup from the sheriff's department out of commissary. And when he does that, he's gonna have 2 vehicles that he wants to put on this list. Bobby at the Public Works has got a 99 Dodge that he wants to surplus. We also need to find out about the vehicle that we replaced at the animal shelter. We give the animal shelter one out of that from the Public Works Department, so we need to find out about that. And the sheriff is looking, he's trying to sell 2 more vehicles to other law enforcement agencies, which he can do by all means, but if he doesn't find that, so those may be on the list too. So we'll get all that information together. All the department heads can give that to Nicole or Pam, and we can get that on that list, and we can find out what we're taking off our book. That's the reason that we need to wait until the next meeting.
Yeah. So if y'all have a vehicle that you're gonna surplus, please get that to us as soon as possible. We'll need the year, make, model, VIN number, and all that kind of information.
Now we can vote.
So was that Chandler and Poston?
Chandler and Poston. All right, so now all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, budget transfers. If you've had an opportunity to review those, we need a motion and a second to approve those budget transfers.
So moved.
Motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. The bills and claims on the portal here, if you had an opportunity to review those, we need a motion and a second to approve those bills and claims as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Jeffrey,
Second.
second by Myron. Any question, discussion, gentlemen? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And then finally, our March 31, 2023 financial statement, we need a motion and a second to approve that financial statement subject to audit and authorize the county treasurer and the county judge to sign it.
So moved.
Motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on through reports. Just an FYI, and I think you guys were included on an email on this. The city's community plan session is scheduled this Thursday. They've had to move it from the Roxy to the Methodist Church, but it'll be at the Methodist Church over here at 6 p.m. this Thursday. I laid a paper at your desk about at the Brad next Tuesday, the 25th, and it's from 11 to 2. It's actually a 2-hour training. It's from 11 to noon, then noon to 1 is a lunch hour provided, and then 1 to 2 the session finishes up. But it's on open records, open meetings, training at the Brad. You do have to register. It's a $10 registration. If you go through to register and you want to go, and this is not just for magistrates, this could be any county employees that want to go to this training at the Brad. You can get on their website and register. It's $10. What you have to do is it'll ask you how you want to pay for it, and you just click on invoice, and they will automatically send the invoice to us. But it's probably, if you haven't, I don't recall, and of course I don't go to every one of the conferences, but I don't recall a real conversation or training about open records, open meeting laws and acts, other than at the very first elected officials conference that I went to. Now, I went again to the newly elected officials conference in this most recent one, but they didn't discuss open records, open meetings. It's eye-opening, and the counselor he's about to pop over here.
Well, that surprises me. Every year at our conference, the AG sends a deputy there to talk to us about open meetings and open records. Obviously, we have a lot in that, but pretty pleased with sugar on top. I'm asking nicely, if you all can make this meeting, this session, please do so. Everybody who works in county government is subject to and deals with the open records, open meetings. You really need to know that because you can get yourself in the county in a jam if you're not careful. So
You could open us up, to lawsuits. You could also open yourself up to removal from office.
also, but I'm just saying, please, 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 $10 is cheap enough. The county pays for it. I'm sorry I'm horning in on yours, but
No, you're fine.
I didn't realize that they didn't go with you, didn't instruct you guys, but I'm just, please go see it. It's important.
And if anyone wants to, it's next Tuesday at 11. If anyone wants to carpool up, I can take 4 more people with me. So I've got space to take myself and 4 others. So you're welcome to ride. We'll leave here 10:15-ish.
Take that.
We could leave here at like 10. We could leave here at 10:40 if you're willing to ride with me and get there. I think I could make it in that kind of time frame.
You take Jessica's new vehicle, you have 5 or 6, run 5 or 6.
We could take 8.
Okay.
That's probably not going to happen though. All right, but yes, seriously, take a look at that because I think it could be some good information. You can also, the little sheet I gave you, and I've never done this, but supposedly you can QR scan that little thing and open up the registration link right from that piece of paper. However that works on your telephone. I would say Austin and Nicole are probably the only, Adam. Austin, Nicole, and Adam may be the only ones in this room that understand that technology. Well, Nelson, but he's still old. Oh, I'm sorry, Nelson. Oh, me. Got to have a little fun. Also, next Tuesday, April 25th, and you may have gotten a letter on this, but the FFA banquet is at the barn at Bethel Grove. It's next Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Then just reminders, next week, some things happening. The Trash Amnesty Days at the Convenience Center on Friday, April 28th, and Saturday, April 29th. Friday will be from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday will be from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And also those 2 days we will do, the debris site will be open, which is just before you get to the convenience center. It'll be open both of those same days, April 28th and 29th, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. both days, Saturday and Sunday. So just making the public aware of that. And then this Saturday and next Saturday are 2 local benefit cruise-ins. One will be at the high school parking lot this Saturday, April 22nd, and it's a fundraiser for the high school band, I believe. And then the following Saturday, the 29th, will be out at the Kenneth Utley Drive entrance to the park, a benefit cruise-in for the animal shelter and the Fix Foundation. So if you like cars, band, and dogs, you got cruise-ins for the next 2 weekends. Myron, you have anything?
No report.
Scott?
No report.
Marty?
I'm just glad we got to welcome Tom. I'm on the ambulance board. We'll be having our first meeting, ambulance board meeting with him today. So I think Tom, he went through a pretty lengthy interview process, along with several other good candidates. And I think he'll make a good director.
Yeah, I think you will. Counselor?
I stepped on your toes. I may be stepping on the sheriff's now. Yesterday was the deadline to pay your last year's property taxes late at the sheriff's office. They now go to the county clerk's office for collection. You have statutorily about 5 days to make payments to save. They're now classified as delinquent to save extra collection costs for the county attorney's expenses to pay during the first few days. saves you that. After that, there's more fees. The longer you wait, the more it costs. Here, in a few months, they'll be subject to being sold to a third party, which will cost even more money. So if you've not already paid your 22 property taxes, please make sure that you do so. The clerk and his fine deputies will be more than happy to help you out.
Sheriff,
No report, sir.
jailer,
No report, sir.
clerk,
No report.
chief, anything in the fire department?
I just wanted to take a minute to remind the public, the weather's getting pretty, everybody's wanting to get out and burn all their debris and stuff from the storms. We are still under the spring hazard season, which means if you're burning within 150 feet, woods, brushy area, you have to wait till after 6 p.m. to do that, and that is a Kentucky state law. If you are in the city limits, the city does require you to get a burn permit. There is no charge. We just come out, look at it, and say, yes or no. But we're seeing an uptick in those responses of brush fires. And generally, most often the people state, there was no wind when I started, and then all of a sudden there's a 15-mile-an-hour wind, and it's got beyond their control. So I just want to remind the public, please, check the weather, and if there is any wind more than 7 or 8 miles an hour, pick a different day. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Bill, anything with maintenance? Bobby, anything with the road department? All right, gentlemen, we do need to have an executive session. This will be pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1C, litigation. Counselor, do you have any idea, how long do you think we'll be back there?
I hope 15, 20 minutes tops.
All right, so what the plan?
Hopefully less.
The plan will be, at the time we are now, is that we'll have the executive session and we'll reconvene in here at 9:45 to come out and then go into budget discussion. But this is pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1C, litigation, which is deliberation, discussion of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the public agency. And I need a motion and a second to enter into executive session.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Let's go over